Feels good getting in the cold tub after a win. Come on in to the cold tub. Yeah, there we are. What's up, y'all? Cold tub. Yeah, no Jake Plummer today. He's he's out of town. I got a special guest though here with me. My old teammate, former Denver Broncos safety, local media, badass, Nick Ferguson. Nick, where are you? There you are. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. You should be chilling because you are in the
Chilling.
cold tub. That's
Chilling in
right.
the cold tub. Were
Yes.
you a cold tub guy, man?
Yeah, man. I lived and died by the cold tub, man. You know how this game and what this game can do to your body, man. So you got to find ways to make sure you are healing, to make sure you are able to do what you need to do on Sundays.
So how many years did you play? Like, because you were before you even got in the NFL, you were playing tackle football professionally, right?
well, one would like to think that, but yeah, I was able to get 10 years in, man. I love my 10 years. And I feel as though I could have gotten another year, but that's a whole different story. Someone kind of ruined that for me.
All right, wait. Well, we won't get into that right now. Well, when you and I played, we didn't get to go overseas, and I mean, we played in NFL Europe. You did,
Yeah.
and I did, but we didn't get to go on our NFL team and go play a game in London or any kind of cool place like the Broncos just got done doing. So that's an interesting challenge, right? And so as we get into breaking this game down, do we have to look at it through the lens of the unusual challenge of going overseas and spending a week in England?
Well, yeah, you do because that's part of the brand, and that's kind of the way that the league was trying to expand with their international series. So you have to take a look at that because now you're talking about going to a whole different country, and the culture is entirely different because we're trying to give them our version of football when they have their version of football, which you should never, if you ever in UK, call it soccer because you would piss the people off.
Yeah.
You just call it soccer, and then as you talk about our game, you say American football. But yeah, you have to do that. And no, you and I didn't get a chance to go, but these international games, man, they have definitely done a lot to expand the game within itself. The only thing is, if you are a fan, in this case of the Jets, you lose a home game, and then you have to get up to watch it.
Well, it doesn't look like the Jets are going to amount to much this year, so that ain't going to matter much. But you mentioned football and soccer, like the weird, like verbiage around it. Is that an obstacle? I mean, just plain and simple for growing the game internationally is the name. Do we need to rename football so that the international crowd can appreciate it? Because they're never going to get behind football because it ain't football. What are you going to call it? You got to call it something else.
Well, we just call it American football, right?
Okay.
It's football, but we just say, hey, the Americans, the Yankees are coming over, and they're bringing their style of football. It's almost like, Thanksgiving. When you go to someone's house, you bring a casserole. They may call it something different, but the idea is just bringing what to someone else's home and say, hey, would you like to take a bite out of it? And right now, by all accounts, with so many international games, throughout the year, the British folk, our brethren, they like it. They like what they're tasting of our American football.
Well, I will say that the casserole we brought over there yesterday wasn't that fucking tasty. I'm gonna be honest, but we found a way to get a win, and I just want to give the defense flowers. Maybe the most dominant defensive performance that we've ever witnessed. I mean, the Broncos held the Jets to 8 total first downs in that game, 82 total yards. Nick, have you ever seen 9 sacks? I mean, I could go on. Have you ever seen a defensive performance as dominant as that? And what do you attribute that to?
No, I haven't seen one of that magnitude. I mean, obviously, you can talk about the 86 Bears, or maybe I think it was the 2006 Baltimore Ravens. Both of those defensive units were great in their own right, but this was a complete annihilation. And for me, I love the game. Like Stephen Wilkes, the coach who's the defensive coordinator for the Jets, he did a great job against Sean Payton's offense, and Sean was considered to be a genius, but you got to give him his flowers as well. And then the Broncos' own Vance Joseph. I don't think Vance gets a lot of recognition locally and nationally. We normally hear about Sean Payton and Bo Nix in the offense, and that's kind of the storyline for a lot of teams because everyone talks about the quarterback. But we still know it's a cliche saying, defense wins championships, and the Broncos continue to do that. Watching Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, watching those dudes come off the edge, it was a thing of beauty. And so much so that Nick Bonito was so much in a hurry to get to Justin Fields, he jumped off sides one time. He was already field, right? But this is a great group. And I'll say this. I know people were like, well, why would the Broncos at the beginning of the draft process go out and draft Jahdae Barron? Why didn't they take Amarian Hampton, right? The idea is that Sean realized who was his saving grace, as though I have coined them. I've coined the Broncos defense under Vance Joseph MacGyver. And the reason I call him MacGyver is because they always come through like the 1980s character. He would always come through in the clutch, and that's what the Broncos defense continues to do.
So you're saying they got a roll of duct tape and a paper clip,
yes,
and they're able to defuse the bomb.
Yes,
and also they have something against firearms. Like MacGyver would never. He hated guns, right? He would always like disarm the dude, and then he'd be like, get this gun away from me. I don't believe in guns.
Right.
All right. Well, I like it. I like the MacGyver reference. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid, so I appreciate that, dude. But Vance Joseph, you mentioned Vance Joseph. He's got to be having some head coaching opportunities after this year. He keeps this up. I mean, to me, best defense in the league right now. Can we dispute that? Is there a better defense in the NFL than the Broncos?
No, and when we talk about quarterbacks, we talk about sophomore slump, something Sean Payton doesn't want to talk about, but it's a real thing. And the Broncos, from a defense perspective, the question was whether they were going to have a slump too, because last year
they got that sophomore bump.
Yes, it was 63 historical sacks, but now, like you said, they have a sophomore bump, and they're picking up right where they left off. They're great now on all, I would like to say on all three levels, but when Greenlaw comes back, I'll be able to say that. But right now, that pass rush, man, those guys are relentless. They're great in the back end, and it makes things so much easier for him to kind of, utilize each single guy almost like a chess piece. But to your point, Vance Joseph should have a lot of consideration for head coaches. And I don't know why it didn't happen last season, but more or less after this season, come 2026, he should have a lot of offers. If he doesn't, you and I need to have another conversation.
Yeah, that's right. And so the Broncos offense better get it going because, this could be the last time they have Vance Joseph with them, and they need to take advantage of that offensively and pull their weight, which they didn't do yesterday. And so I want to get into the offense a little bit and why it was so inept, but that was one of the more anemic, difficult to watch Broncos offensive performances that we've seen in a while. And for everybody who's expecting, fireworks, and Sean Payton certainly has lit those fireworks over the years, 15 years in New Orleans, absolutely destroying the NFL year in and year out, number one or number two or number three in yards and passing every single year on offense when he was there. Hasn't been that way since he's been here. And realistically, the last couple of years in New Orleans, it wasn't that way for Sean Payton either. The question is the offense, is the NFL catching up to what Sean Payton does? Does he need to adapt? What's going on with Sean Payton's offense? Those are questions that we got to figure out. But the offense was pretty bad, dude. And to me, it was too cute. And we're going to get into that in a minute when we start watching some of these plays. We got some plays queued up for you. We're going to talk about that. But the play calling to me was too cute. Football is simple. Attack down the field, attack the defense with the players that you believe are better than their players. To me, when you do a cute system, a cute offensive game plan, and you try to outsmart people, it means that you don't think we're better than them. If you think we're better than them, coach, just cut us loose and let us go attack them. When you got guys that you think are better, why aren't we just attacking them, Nick? As a defensive player, how do you react when there's all that misdirection and side-to-side stuff and the offense isn't going at you?
Well, first and foremost, what I would say is when it's okay to throw a couple of wrinkles in every now and again. But if you become a consistent gimmicky offense, you're absolutely right. That says that you don't have a lot of faith in your quarterback and your skill players to go and make plays down the field. You can run some misdirection to move some guys out of place so you can create some options in the run game and the pass game, but you can't get too cute. And if you do a lot of things in your mind, you're being creative behind the line of scrimmage, you know what you're doing? You're taking away from your explosive plays, being able to get up the field, and you're playing basically in the hands of the defense. Because if the defense is watching film, they're watching where you place receivers. They're watching, once again, who is your move guy. And right now, that move guy is no other than Marvin Mims. So defensively, when he's in the game, he's aligned in the backfield. I'm going alert, 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 19, 19, 19 to say, okay, well, we're going to make sure that we take him away. Then also you just look at where Marvin Mims is placed. If he's off the ball, it's almost like playing Tyreek Hill when he was playing with Kansas City. They're moving him for a particular reason. If he's on the ball, he's a big threat. If he's behind the line of scrimmage, he's not a threat at all, because now we can just rally and tackle. But this is where the creativity or the scheme needs to change for Sean Payton a little. And this is the byproduct of the longer you coach in the league, you're going to have a book on everyone else. But everyone else is going to have a book on you too as well. So the league defensively has continued to evolve and advance, but some of the play calling by Sean Payton at times does look a little archaic, and he just needs to change up a couple of things and tweak some things here and there.
Or pass the reins, hand the playbook to somebody else and let them call plays on game day. I know he's not going to do that. He ain't going to do that. But if it means winning and losing games, or you got a young up-and-comer like Davis Webb who's showing an instinct for it and a connection to the team and the players, man, maybe it'll come to that point at some point, but not yet, obviously. All right, let's get into some of these plays. You know, David was playing a couple of those plays just there, but I want to start with something we've been talking about with Troy Franklin and his hand placement. He's been getting caught with his hands in weird spots when he's catching a football, and here's another example of it on the fumble on the very first drive of the game. And by the way, the Jets had not had a single turnover all year in 5 games, and then first drive, 3rd and 7, Bo makes a nice play getting out of pressure here, had some pressure, escaped it. Troy Franklin stuck his foot in the ground and came upfield, but he caught it all weird like this, and it was against his body, and it gets smacked out. He's got to figure out how to grab that thing, squeeze that thing, and it happened at last year or week's 2-point conversion, and Sean Payton mentioned it afterwards that he'd like to see him get his thumbs together instead of doing it like that. He keeps doing it like this, trapping it against his body, and then it keeps getting poked out. As a defensive player, how do you view a guy like Troy who has nice feet but kind of floppy hands as somebody who you're going to try to punch that ball out?
Yeah, I definitely would do that. But here's the thing. You brought up a very interesting point. It was at this point where it was said on the national broadcast that the Jets had not had a turnover, and Jinx, it happened. And all week long, over in London, Aaron Glenn was told, hey, listen, do you guys know that, you don't have any turnovers at all, right? Your offense from a turnover differential, they have fumbled the ball 7 times, has led to 34 points, but you guys have no turnovers defensively. So you know what the Jets did all week long? They made it a point of emphasis, punching out the ball. So when you look at Troy Franklin from a defensive standpoint, I got the scouting report. The scouting report tells me he is a very crafty wide receiver, young wide receiver, still learning how to use his body, but we can punch the ball out. And the problem with this particular play here, the one thing that he didn't do was, as soon as you catch the ball, you're taught to kind of tuck that ball against your body to make sure that it's secure. Bobby Turner, who I know you're familiar with, would always talk about his 8 points of pressure, right?
8 points.
Yes. So that's what Troy needed. Troy needed to do. Catch the ball, tuck it up right up against your body and your armpit to make sure that no one can actually punch it out. But on this particular play, now you can say, well, he secured a catch and then it was a fumble. But to me, was that a catch? Right?
Bang, bang, right? Bang, bang.
Later on, we're going to get into something else, and you have to call the game the same way. But what a bad way to start off the game. You put the defense in a tough situation where they're on a short field and they have to stop Justin Fields and that Jets offense from putting points on the board. But right now, the coaching point to Troy, don't get down on yourself. It happens to a lot of individuals, just trying to catch the ball, secure it and tuck it, and then try to get upfield.
Don't get down on yourself, but we're going to be hitting the jugs. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff after practice to get your hands on that football, squeezing that football and tucking it away so you don't get it punched out. So they ended up getting a field goal on that first drive, and the Broncos got the ball back. And there's just something curious happening on offense that I don't understand. And I want you to play this Pat Bryant slant. Pat Bryant, young rookie, big body, physical receiver who has really nice hands. And that slant was butter. It was easy. He had man coverage out there. He moved him with a couple steps, comes back inside. Bo looks very comfortable throwing slants. He catches it one step and throws it. It's a very smooth, easy delivery for 11 yards. So smooth and so easy that we're not going to do it again the rest of the game. In fact, we're never going to throw a slant again, even though it works pretty easily. Even though Sean Payton threw about 50 of them to Michael Thomas the year he got 149 catches, I don't understand why we're not doing the easy stuff, Nick. And this is the easy stuff. It's the stuff that receivers love. It's the stuff that quarterbacks love. It's very easy to block this for the offensive line. There's no time to get pressure on him. There's no play action, misdirection stuff. Just throw the ball to your guy and let him catch it.
Yeah, the one thing I love about this play is that there are indicators all over the field. First and foremost, it's a 3-by-1 situation, and the back moves from left to right. So defensively, we were always taught anytime you get in that situation, it's either going to be a backside slant or backside sluggo, right? But Patrick Bryant does a great job, kind of coming to balance, keeping the shoulder square, getting the DB to overplay it, and then breaking back inside. Now, what I will warn about Bo the next time, kind of look that off first, because if you don't, people are going to watch film. Guys like me, we're going to watch film. And anytime you get into that 3-by-1 situation, I'm going to tell that linebacker or being a defensive coordinator, we're going to drop that end out on the 3-by-1 situation. We're going to drop that end out into that window. But Pat Bryant did a great job, creating some separation, running the slant route. And Bo, like you said, he put it right where his receiver could catch it, because sometimes the quarterback gets a little too antsy and he wants to throw it right away and puts it on that back hip. But he puts it out right in front of Pat Bryant where only he can catch it. But I would love to see more of these passing attempts and slant routes from the Broncos.
Yeah, you made a good point about Bo with his eyes. I mean, he had some pass deflected later in the game. That was a big moment. I mean, he's not using his eyes to move defenders as much as you'd like. That's something he can work on. What is this? What is this when they do this, Nick?
Well, I don't know exactly what it was.
That's an epilephagus.
I don't know what that is, but that started back in Miami with the Hurricanes and Cam Ward, right? It's probably some Gen Z thing that,
right, like 6'7", whatever the hell that is. I don't know, man.
Probably.
All right, so let's move on, because there's three phases of the game. Now, there's offense and defense, which everyone knows, and then there's the one that everyone uses to go up and take a piss. But for all of us who are actually playing special teams, we know how important that is. Nick, you were a core special teams member, so was I. And so it's hard for us to see a play like this after a Broncos field goal that sets up another scoring attempt for the Jets when their offense is so bad. They need plays like this to get in scoring position, and they got one on a really long kick return. Let's see what did you see on this play, Nick?
Well, on this play, going from right to left, right there in the middle of your screen, you got Devin Key right there, number 26, the reserve safety. He kind of takes up two guys. So now that up back who's on your right hash, he's looking, okay, well, now I got to look for someone else to actually block. And then right there on your right hash, you'll see 92. That's DeAndre Tillman. Tillman's going to beat his guy, come across his face. The only thing that he didn't do was he didn't make the tackle. And being a defensive guy, you always coach this. You wrap and you drive for 5. And what I mean by that, you're going to run through the guy. You're going to make sure you grab Clark, and then you're going to continue to drive him back. Also, to his left, you see J.O. Skinner right there. Skinner was in position to make the tackle. But as you can see, he dropped his head and he missed the tackle. But there's someone coming in from the left that I don't know who that person is, but that person, if they come flat, they can come down and they could have made that tackle or cross that returner's face to make him check his feet. But you don't want to do this. And on the play, on the wide,
get him, Will Lutz.
That's not going to happen. But you can see, Chris Abrams, man, that kid saved the day. If he doesn't make this tackle, because he was the safety, he was L1 on the left side, right? Yeah. And what the Jets did, if you look right now, let me see, if you pause it right there, what they did on that left hash, they have a guy who's like an up back. And there's being on kickoff team, anytime there's a double team, that's where teams want to run the ball. So they showed you where the double team was going to come from, and they double teamed PJ Locke and watched him from left to right, and that created the chasm so they could run through.
Yeah, and you see that guy take his shot coming in for the left unblocked, stuttered his feet a little bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nico, but we don't want to chop our feet right there. We just want to take a shot, right, and force him back inside. I mean, that little tiny stutter step he did, and we're not seeing it from this angle. It's the guy who missed him right off the bat, who was
Yeah.
coming in free. How do they coach that? The guy coming in free, you'll see him on the left. You want to take your shot there.
Yeah, you know what? This takes me back to my Jets days with Mike Westhoff. If you're coming off that edge, he would always tell you to get flat, get skinny, and come off the backside of that guy who was blocking. Because when you come flat, you're going to flash right in front of his face. Even if you were to miss, once again, you're going to make him check his feet to slow down so everyone else in the party can get there. But here's the interesting thing about this particular play, that Chris Benjo, former Denver Broncos assistant special teams coach, you could see him on a wide shot running down the sideline because he wanted this game. He wanted his unit to play so well because he didn't get the head special teams job, and that which allowed him to go to the Jets. So that unit played well for him. They've been playing well for him, all season long. If there is a bright spot for the New York Jets, it is Chris Benjo, coach special teams unit.
Yeah, and it's they've changed the kickoff rule. Obviously, it's a new sort of feel out there. And for guys like you and me, we're used to sprinting down 40, 50 yards and creating these lanes based on that, and the leverage was based on moving bodies. And now everyone's just fitted up. And so if you're not fitted up and you miss one little block, it's going to open in part like the Red Sea, and it's a little bit of a different game out there with a new kickoff. I personally don't like this new kickoff. I wish they would just move it back 20 yards and just kick it, man, and let everybody just return it like usual and run down the field. What's your opinion?
Well, they're not going to do that, Nate.
No, I know they're not going to, but
remember, it's about health and safety.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
They care. They care about us. Oh, that's sweet. All right, before we get into some of these defensive dominant plays, I want to show the touchdown to Nate Atkins. It was a really nice design, and Nate Atkins, football player, jack of all trades, wide open in the end zone. They fake that little whatever screen out to the right there, jet motion thing. Whoop. And Nate Atkins comes off the ball like he's going to block, and you think he's going to because he does every other play. Nate Atkins is just a guy who always blocks, and he does it really well. But when the guy who always blocks also has good feel for the ball, good instincts when it's in the air, and a good feel for zones and coverage, you get opportunities like this to be wide open in the end zone there. A really nice play design and well executed.
Yeah, great play design. This is a bridge off of the Pat Bryant's play. Remember, they were in 3-by-1. The back was offset to the right, and Pat Bryant ran the slant. So if you look at that same thing, the only thing that changed was Marvin Mims coming in motion. The single receiver still ran the shallow, which is a version of the slant. But what they did, they realized that the Jets were playing some kind of quarter coverage where they were match carrying, delivering. What that means, as soon as Marvin goes in motion, you see all the defensive players start to bump. But they forgot number 45. And it's like, how do you forget that? You can see before the play, Sauce Gardner talking to his safety, right? Trying to get on some kind of common ground as far as who's going to take who. And what they did using the wide receiver and Cortland Sutton to occupy two guys. And then so you occupy two guys. You use Marvin Mims to now get the eyes of the defenders because we're told to see ball, hit ball. But it's almost like a moth to a flame. As soon as you see the flame, you just can't take your eyes off of it. And when Atkins released off the ball, he did a great job of looking like he was going to stalk the guy, like stalk blocking. What that is like you acting like you're going to block the guy. And the defender immediately took his eyes off, said, you know what? I got a wide open shot on Marvin Mims. And oh, by the way, Atkins just released, and no one was none the wiser. So great play call inside the red zone, great execution.
Yeah, Sean Payton is a very good offensive coach, and he has the ability to put guys in the right positions. You just don't have to do it every play. It doesn't have to be tricky all the time. Sometimes those plays work better when you just do some simple stuff for a while and attack for a while. Now, I understand you have to set those moments up, by similar looking plays, as you just mentioned, that do different things. And so you get guys thinking different things with the same sort of formations. However, it doesn't always work. And sometimes the easiest answer is the simple one. But in that case, that was an incredible play, great execution. And the only touchdown of the day, Nico, because the Broncos defense played lights out. Now we're going to shift over and watch a compilation of all 9 of their sacks, Nico, because those guys were attacking Justin Fields back there. Probably the most ferocious sort of attack that he's ever had to experience as a quarterback.
You know what it seemed like? I'm a National Geographic guy, right? So it looked like the Broncos defenders were a bunch of hyenas, and Justin Field had ham in his pants, right?
Oh,
and they were hunting like he was the meat, right? So it was like ready, set, go hunt, and on every single one of those plays, you can see Vance Joseph is not going to allow him to set his feet. He's always sending someone. He may send a guy on a delay, but also the Broncos were able to get pressure with just their front four. The last time I've seen the front four be able to generate this amount of pressure was watching Vic Fangio and against Kansas City, where Patrick Mahomes was constantly under duress with 4 guys. And when you look at this, 9 sacks, I know that's a compilation, but it's just like, where's the open receiver? Who's fighting to get open? And if you are open, the quarterback can't find you. You know why? Because there's a hand in his face.
Yeah.
So,
well, also, this game plan kind of confusing to me. I mean, why are you going shotgun so much when you got a defense who's just pinning their ears back and attacking? I know the shotgun is the trend now, and it's what most people are doing. But to me, go under center, take a 3-step drop if you want to throw the ball and get it out of your hands for the quick pass game, and do timing-based passes and timing-based runs that are going to allow you to attack a little bit better. I feel like Justin Fields just a sitting duck out there. I mean, doesn't have a great sense of timing, doesn't see past the rush very well. And then he's such a good athlete that once he starts moving around, he doesn't think I want to find room to throw the ball. He's like, I want to find room to run it. And so those receivers, although they might be freeing up a little bit on the scramble drill, he never even really sees them or even tries to fit it in there.
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you, I went and watched this back, and he was under a lot of duress. The idea is that you want to get the ball out of your hand quick. How can you really do that when you're constantly under duress? His offensive line didn't help him. His offensive coordinator didn't help him at all by creating some short, quick passes to establish some type of rhythm. And you're right. When you sit your quarterback in the shotgun, 90% of your offense, what it tells to the defense, we don't even have to play the run, because there's not too many run plays that you can have. You can run a screen. You can get in a pistol formation. And what that is a lone back about 5 yards behind the quarterback who's in the shotgun. You can run delayed handoff. But when you put your quarterback under center, we don't know defensively what you're going to do. We don't know if you're going to run it. We don't know if you're going to pass it. But you sit your quarterback in the shotgun, you tell us, you know what? It is time to eat, and your quarterback is the main dish. So they didn't do a great job of helping Justin Fields out in a lot of ways. And the wide receivers, man, their routes, they were too deep developing. On a 3rd and 9, you're running 12 yards. You know, the pass rush for the Denver Broncos has been relentless all game. You got to turn around at some point and give me a quick pass. But for me, I don't feel the Jets OC did any favors to Justin Fields.
And when they did run a quick pass and he was open, you got Pat Surtain breaking on it like a freak, and he's so long that he's able to knock that one down. David, do we have that one? It was in the 3rd quarter. It was that Pat Surtain breakup. I mean, it just shows you how good he is and how perfect you have to be under center and as a receiver timing-wise to be able to pull one on him like that. I mean, he's open for a second, but not really. And Justin Fields, that was like one of the best timing passes he's had all day. But Pat Surtain is that good. That's why he's the defensive player of the year.
Well, here's something that Pat understands that one of our former teammates, Champ Bailey, understands. When you think about that, you look at splits, right? The splits tell you pre-snap what a receiver could possibly do. On that speed cut, you saw Garrett Wilson, he was inside the numbers. I mean, he's on the top of the numbers. So there's only so many routes that he can run. He can run the speed cut or he can run a shallow. When he came off the ball, he didn't run upfield, right? He didn't run upfield, and he didn't run across field, excuse me. He ran right to the speed cut, which Pat Surtain knew exactly what he was going to do. And on this particular play, this was the fumble that was taken away, was overturned for the Broncos. And it's no different than the Troy Franklin play that you showed earlier where the ball was knocked out of Troy's hand. Right here, there's a step, there's 2 steps. He's turning around, and then the ball is knocked out. that should have been a Broncos fumble recovery, setting him up for what would be another touchdown. But the official overturned it. I said, well, what's the difference between that play with Garrett Wilson and Pat Surtain and the early one with Troy Franklin? It's the same damn play.
Well, one of the teams is coached by Sean Payton.
Okay. Thank you.
And they feel a certain way about Sean at the league office. I promise you that. But incredible hands there by PS2. You know, it's not just your footwork. Footwork is incredibly important as a DB, but you got to finish with your hands. And you see with Troy Franklin, his feet are great, but he's not finishing with his hands. And the guys who can combine the footwork with the handwork, the hand-eye coordination in those moments. I mean, Pat Surtain just knocked that ball down. I mean, as it was a really precise punch, and it just shows how skilled he is. All right, before we get out of here, at least play-wise, I just want to show those Jaquan McMillian tackles. We got a little compilation here of number 29 just making really clutch tackles to prevent first downs from happening. I mean, you're gonna complete some balls from time to time when we do a little shell coverage here. The thing is, you can't let them get any yards after the catch. And the Broncos, I don't think they let the Jets get a single yard after the catch yesterday. It didn't seem like that. Every time they caught a ball, they were getting stopped in their tracks, short of the sticks, and having to punt in some crucial moments. Here's another one of them right here with Jaquan McMillian. Talk a little bit about him and the impact he's making on this defense.
He's made that was a big boy tackle right there, and he made a lot of them in this game because he's keeping his eyes low. He's focusing on the guy's waist, and he knows once you grab a guy by his legs, there's no way he's going to get around you. Now, Garrett Wilson, I mean, he should be, I won't say ashamed of himself, but you have to try to run through this tackle. But that speaks volumes once again to the skill set and attention to detail to Jaquan McMillian. Here's another one right here. And I know when Jahdae Barron was, drafted, everyone was pounding the table. It is time to put him in for Riley Moss. It's time to put him in for Jaquan McMillian. These guys are playing great ball. Look at this low leverage right here. Look at where he's attacking him. He's not trying to attack him in his chest. He understands the same way that I understood, and this is just the way that I tackle too. Attack a guy by his waist, wrap up his legs, and once again, here's a key point. He never dropped his head. His head was always up looking at what he's trying to tackle. We saw in the special teams play with J.O. Skinner. He dropped his head, so you are not going to see the guy that you're tackling. On this play right here for Jaquan, tackling a quarterback, a very athletic quarterback in space, might I add, he made sure to hold his outside leverage, grab him by the waist, and then wrap his legs up, man. That is textbook. This is something you show on the film on Tuesday morning and say, well, this is how you tackle. But the whole thing is you just can't do it once, Nate. It has to be consistent. And every play that you're showing right now is showing why Jaquan McMillian, one, should get paid, and two, should remain as the top nickel for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and dominant defensive performance there, lackluster special teams and offensive performance, but you're able to get the win after playing poorly on special teams, poorly on offense. That's how good your defense was. I wonder what the mood's going to be like around the facility this week and how Sean Payton is going to what kind of message we're going to craft here after this game and what the vibe is going to be like going into the Giants here on Sunday. We're going to be honoring Super Bowl 50 and Demaryius Thomas is going to be unveiled in the Ring of Fame. We got about 163 former players coming to the alumni festivities this coming weekend, Nico. If you're Sean Payton, what's the kind of vibe that you're putting out to your team after this victory?
Well, the vibe is, hey, man, we struggled for 2 weeks in a row, and thank the heavens and for Vance Joseph, MacGyver, and his defense for saving us. And we're going to need them again because you got Cam Scatterboo coming in, Brian Dable, and Jackson Dart, a team that when we first looked at this on the schedule, everyone was saying, okay, that's a win. That's 2 in a row against both New York teams. You can't say that now. You cannot say that now. So what the message has to be to Sean Payton, to his team, look, we're honoring, Super Bowl 50 and Demaryius Thomas. Like you said, 160 guys are going to be in town. We have to play our best ball. This is where we have to really showcase what we were supposed to be in the Jets game, what we were said to be by Kay Adams, that a very explosive offensive team. We have to show that and display that this week because everyone's going to be watching. We have to play a complete game on all 3 phases. And yes, Vance Joseph, please make sure that you are geared up to stop those two rookie players for the New York Jets. And if we do that, we get another dub. And if we get another dub, it doesn't make a difference how many points we scored on offense. We got the dub.
We got the dub, and we got that dub in England. The Broncos are 4-2. All right, tied with the Chargers, first place in the AFC West. Things are looking pretty good. And then they come home to play the Giants, and we're not taking anybody lightly now. We understand that, the record doesn't mean anything. The Broncos were supposed to blow out the Jets, right? Didn't happen like that. It was a close game. And if it weren't for Aaron Glenn's really bad game management, which we didn't get into, but it was actually abysmal. I mean, that guy has no business being a head coach almost, because you got to manage the clock, man. You got to know when to call timeouts. And that was the most confusing sort of game management stuff I've ever seen. Do you have a quick word about that before we get out of here, Nico?
Yeah, I was trying to understand the philosophy, because you go into halftime, right? You're allowing the clock to, I guess, count down for what purpose? Or were you going to kick a long field goal? I don't know. Were you going to throw a Hail Mary? I'm thinking that you use the remaining amount of that time before halftime to try to take a shot down the field, but you just let the clock tick down. It was one of the most wild things I've ever seen. But wilder than that, on I think it was a 4th down play when Aaron Glenn ran on the field, and I had never seen a coach ever do that before. I've never seen an officials allow a coach to actually run to midfield to personally spot the ball himself. I've never seen that. And I was just like, are they going to throw a penalty? What's going to happen with the situation? But that game, there was a lot of bizarre things that happened in that particular game. But, hey, man, the Broncos go across the pond. They get a dub. They got to lick their wounds. They have to be much better if they plan on defeating the New York Giants, a revamped New York Giants team that has a guy by the name of Brian Burns, and he hunts quarterbacks for a living.
And so hopefully they're not putting any ham in Bo Nix's pants this coming weekend. Nico, I feel better after the cold tub. How do you feel, man? You feel all right?
I feel much better. I feel like I need to go get some apple cider vinegar and lemon and have a drink.
Yeah, go have a drink. Relax. Thanks for joining us on the cold tub, Nico. Come back anytime, and I'll be seeing you at the game on Sunday, all right?
See you.
All right. Later, guys. That's it for us in the cold tub. See you next time.